So it's time to let you guys know what we were able to do this year for the third annual ExJwHelp Day. I wanted to come back and report on the donations received and kind of give an accounting of what we were able to do together in the community as a group. So last year for ExJwHelp Day 2022, we ended up raising a total of $760. This year, the goal is to see if we could beat that. Fell a little short, that's okay. But in the end, we raised $707. And that's still a really good amount to be able to go out into the community and to perform some random acts of kindness with. So let's talk about what happened. So first, on September the 2nd itself, which officially is ExJwHelp Day, I ended up waking up with a massive migraine that lasted the entire weekend. So, can't plan everything, right? I knew I wasn't going to put all this money to good use in one day anyway. So kind of got off to a slow start, but it is what it is. I really didn't feel like going out and talking to people that day. I wasn't feeling very good, but I decided that maybe I could still go out and execute one of the ideas that I had, or at least give it a shot. This is one of those things that you learn even about trying to do random acts of kindness, is that sometimes you have the best intent, but the execution isn't quite there. And we'll talk about what that looked like. But the idea itself here that I'm about to give you is one that you could do anytime, anywhere. So I hope that maybe some of you will take this and run with it. My idea was to go out to local libraries and to see if I could find ex-JW books, maybe Crisis of Conscience or something else. And the goal was to leave $10 in the book and a really kind note that I had produced to give to anyone reading it. I'm actually going to leave the exact text of what I put in that note in the description below. So if you want to do it yourself, you can actually use the exact same text if you like. I was able to end up printing 3 of these notes on one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, just regular printer paper, and then to cut that up into the 3 notes themselves. But the note was really just there to encourage the person that was reading the book, to let them know that there's others of us out here. Chances are, if they're reading that book, maybe they're going through a tough time. And so it was just really to let them know that there was an ex-JW community out here. Here are some links that you might find helpful, like the Sean podcast and things, obviously, that I do. And then here's $10. Get yourself a treat and settle in, and know that there are people who do care about you. But unfortunately, the reality is that we had a hard time finding any ex-JW books. On that day, September the 2nd itself, we drove to 3 different cities. We hit up 3 different libraries, and we did not find a single ex-JW book. We did find the Proclaimers book, if you remember that one, the JW book. I think it's green, dark green, I think on the outside it was. But anyway, they had one of those in the library. I flipped through it, found a note where somebody was writing back and forth to somebody else. I don't know if they were trying to witness or what, but that was kind of interesting. But what we ended up doing, instead of putting money into ex-JW books that we found, since we didn't find any, is we instead took our time to request various ex-JW books for the local library. So let's get some books in there that anyone who is looking might be able to find. A lot of people who, obviously, people can look online and find things, but the library is kind of a safe place to go and read books at times for people. Or maybe somebody could check it out, kind of keep it hidden and still be able to read. So we never know what somebody's going through when they're looking for these books, and it is good to have them in your local library if at all possible. So just request or get a book request form there at your local library. At least that's what ours had, were these forms that we filled out. And we requested 3 or 4 books in each library. Obviously, Crisis of Conscience was at the top of that list. And each individual will have whatever your preferences may be for the rest of them. But it's not a bad idea to do that so that at least there's something there to represent the community. In the end, throughout the many days of going out and about looking for different libraries and just the other things that we were doing in the process of this, we did finally find 2 libraries that actually had copies of Amber Scora's book, Leaving the Witness. And so we did end up leaving a total of $20 between 2 libraries, even though I don't know how many we visited. It had to have been but it was about eight, at least eight different libraries, and we were able to find two books. So we put the $10 in there, we put the notes in there, and we left that behind for the next person that checks those out. After that, we ended up going to a thrift store that I grew up going to in the Louisville area. It's called the DAV. It's for the Disabled American Veterans. Kind of funny to think now that my parents were going there and spending money, which ended up to go to support that. But I digress. I guess that's what, as witnesses, they had drawn their line that was okay, because ultimately we did need clothes. I actually went to the DAV the first year I did this in 2021 and ended up having a really cool experience with a lady there. She was pregnant and really needed help, and we were able to help her. So this time, I kind of hang back in the back and I look around. I try to see if there's anybody that really kind of stands out to me that I think I want to approach. It's honestly not even easy to approach people to give them money. It's a very awkward thing to do. And I saw these two ladies, turned out to be a mother and her daughter, and they were standing near the scrubs, looking into getting some cheap scrubs. I mean, I don't know what they cost there, a couple bucks. So I went up there with the plan to give them a certain amount of money, but then after I heard their story, I ended up giving them much more. The mother and daughter had actually just moved to the city from a rural area nearby. Apparently, they were escaping a domestic violence situation, and they were there looking at scrubs because the daughter had just gotten a job at a local animal shelter, and she needed these for work. Again, like I said, I think they just cost a couple dollars for used scrubs there. So they're already super cheap, but I noticed that they were apparently just going to buy one pair. We got to talking and everything. I ended up giving them $200. She was just absolutely taken aback that they both were. The mom gave both myself and my wife big hugs. Apparently, they were just going to get one pair of scrubs, so a couple bucks. Now she told her daughter, we can at least get you a couple pairs now that you can alternate through. And apparently they didn't have lunch for her when she was going to go to work, and were even concerned about filling up the car so that she could get to her job to earn an income. So this really, really helped them out. And it was honestly pretty emotional standing there, and pretty emotional after we left as well. And you guys got to help make that happen. It was really a beautiful thing. In the past year, I went through a drive-through at a local taco shop, and I tipped the drive-through person there, and they gave us when they gave me my food. And so this year, I guess tacos are the theme for this. I ended up going to two different places and ended up tipping $160 to various staff members of the two restaurants. And they were grinning from ear to ear and super excited. I'm guessing that doesn't happen very often. And so that was a really nice thing that we got to do as well. One of my favorite things to do, my absolute favorite things to do, I did it last year. You saw some video of it. I went out, I bought basketballs. I sure bought footballs as well, but this year I bought basketballs, and I went out to local parks and I gave them out to kids who were playing. I love basketball. It's just a fun thing for me. It's one of those things you give kids and they immediately light up. They immediately start playing with it. They go join their friends with their own ball, because not all of them always have one. And so Walmart had a really great deal on basketballs. I found them for $5 a piece. I try to stretch these donations as far as I can, and I try to touch as many people with them as I can. So I bought 10 basketballs. I've given out 7. I do still have 3. And I'm going to give them out. They're still in my trunk. And as I find kids out playing, we're now in the fall and don't know, it's not going to be easy to find them. But I will make sure and get the rest of them handed out. And in fact, I was thinking that maybe I'll just always keep at least 1 or 2 in my trunk year round. And then anytime I go to a park and play, if I see some kids and they need a ball, maybe I'll hand out balls anyway. So it's just a really fun thing to do. So I was able to buy 10 basketballs, and I'm getting those handed out. And finally, just like last year, we wanted to go out and fill some little pantries again. For those of you who are unfamiliar as to what little pantries are, if you've ever seen a little library in a neighborhood, a little wooden box, usually on some sort of a post, and that box has a bunch of books in it that people can kind of give and take one, leave one type of situation. This is basically a little food pantry like that. It's on a post, it's a big box, and you can fill those with food in order to help people who need the food. This year, so last year we hit a bunch of different boxes. This year we just ended up hitting one, and I'll explain why. But in the end, we spent $274 at the local Walmart. We bought pop-top canned goods, easy to open and good hearty food. We bought pouches full of tuna that were flavored. We got like 100 of those and put those in. You'll see it in the picture. And we also bought a bunch of just little snack bags of little mini Oreos and other cookies and such, and put those in the box as well. So the question is, why did we only hit one? Well, although we had planned to hit more than one, ultimately, the very first one that we went to was absolutely empty. There was not a thing in it except for one thing. And that one thing that was in it was one of Jehovah's Witnesses' tracts. No food, but what Jehovah's Witnesses would term spiritual food. And when I saw that tract in there, I knew this was the one. This was the one we were going to fill up with something good. And so, as you can see in the picture above, I'm sure, or a picture on the screen, I did take out the trash that was in there, and I left behind a whole bunch of food. There happened to be some apartments right by that box. And I remember when I went up last year, I did hit that little pantry and put some food in it. And there was actually somebody who stopped me and thanked me for doing that. And really, thanked us for doing that, because I think there's a lot of people back there who maybe could use the food at times. And so obviously it was empty. Somebody's been there and taken something. So it was really nice to be able to fill that one up. It was also really nice to put something of actual value in there. I don't know. I like to think that if the Jehovah's Witnesses who went there put in a tract, I really, really hope that they also put in some actual food for someone. I mean, knowing the witnesses that I grew up around and the lack of charitable giving that they do, they could have just used it as an opportunity to prey on the vulnerable and to leave a tract that they hoped would lure them to them. But at the end of the day, I hope that they actually did leave some food. We did. And so you can feel good about that. We as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses came together and left something of value in that little pantry box that hopefully will really help some of the individuals who live around that area. And if you add all that up, it comes to $707, exactly what was donated by the community. So I really want to thank everybody who donated. It's really awesome that people come together to do this. None of you have to. And if you're a person that was inspired to go out and do something yourself, which is also awesome, I hope you'll let us know in the comments below. What did you go out and do? Maybe you inspire somebody else with one of your ideas. And at the end of the day, we're all a part of the world around us now, so we might as well do something to make it better. And you don't need a special day to do a random act of kindness. You can do that anytime. ExJwHelp Day, I just created this to try to inspire others to do some things, to interact with the communities around us, and to show that how it can be done. And here are some ideas that you can carry forth. So you don't have to wait until September the 2nd of 2024, the next ExJwHelp Day, to do something in your community. There are always opportunities to connect with someone, even just over a smile. So whatever it is that you can do, I just want to encourage you, keep looking for ideas, looking for opportunities to do something random in your community that can help. And I appreciate you so much for participating in my particular day so that I get to go out and do these cool things with you and to sharing this with everybody. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again next year.